Welcome back, YouTube. So we're doing an update video. We got the CPI numbers. We pretty much went down in most of our cryptos into some of those lower levels and grabbed some liquidity. And now we're seeing bouncers across the area. So we're kind of going to wrap everything up and kind of get some expectations on where we're going from here. First off, let's talk about the CPI numbers. The CPI numbers, they pretty much came across the board. Core inflation was a little high, like by 0.1, but overall we hit all of the targets for CPI. So this is going to put the case saying that we're probably still going to get that basis point hike from Powell. About 0.25 is what's expected. So we hit all the numbers, so nothing really to shock the market or send us strongly in a bullish or in a bearish direction. So kind of just even out just there. And overall, when we hit these lower levels, I'm going to go through some of the charts here. This is Doge that I have up. Anything that's in these lower lines, these three lines here, I have it on Bitcoin as well, which we'll get to. This is where the highest concentrations of liquidity is going to be. And pretty much without any of the bad news, with the bailouts of the banks, everything kind of just, I won't say it smoothed out, but it really just, it did kind of smooth out compared to what it could have been if there weren't any bailouts, or if there was going to be some shocking news. You could have had a rug pull. But overall, with those situations kind of working themselves out, we've seen this rally here. And once we were able to go down and have liquidity, and we've seen these consecutive green bars, and now we're actually above the threshold here of where the highest concentrations of liquidity are. So if you're new here, this is anything in this range here below this. I'll go over this in Bitcoin as well, but below this level here, around 712 is going to be, for me, it's going to be my buy zones. Obviously down here, this is where we spent the most time at around the 6-cent mark. This is where the highest concentration of liquidity is going to be. And you'll see as we got close, we got a rejection here for Doge. And we pretty much had we're still in the middle of a consistent rally back up. And you'll see this, a similar pattern. If you take note of that one, you'll see a similar pattern for Bitcoin. And you'll see that Bitcoin literally broke down below the 20 range, grabbed some liquidity, and it's been consecutive rallies up there, even going over the 25K mark here before getting a really strong rejection. And now we're roughly around like the 24 mark here. So this map here, this is, once you start playing in this zone here, this is where you can start to potentially have a run to go retest 30,000. So that rejection was pretty strong here. That was really like a slap down. So we'll have to see how these next candles closes and if we can kind of maintain these levels. But anything above the 25 range, based off of these gaps and stuff in previous history, we're looking at a contestant to really go and test that 30K range. So this will be something to add to your notes for the micros here over the next 24, 48 hours to see if we're going to build strength here and see if we can actually go and test some of those higher levels, or even just maintain this one. Because with these kinds of rallies, you can kind of expect a consolidation or a cool down period relatively soon. I'd be really impressed if this continued to rally up to 30,000 just based off of the news that we have now. If we have some sideways movement or build some strength here around 24, 25, I wouldn't be surprised at that, however. But this was a great rally after grabbing some liquidity down here in some of the lower levels. Let's take a look here at Cardano as well. Oh, this is market cap. Hold on. Still clicked on the wrong one. There we go. Close enough. Let's see. Yeah, and we actually did stop some of the falling for Cardano, because technically once we got below this 32 range, we kind of had that fall here, and we were in serious trouble of having that fall down to around a 25 cent. So these moves are as strong as what we've seen with Bitcoin or Doge, but this will be certainly something to look at here, because this is certainly a decent rejection here as well. And the movement and the volume is not present there as well to kind of say that this is going to build strength or be able to maintain itself or go and retest some of these levels. So this one here, I would still say is quite undecided, but we did kind of break trend here. So you didn't have that full retest here down here at these lower levels. So 34 cent is kind of where we were hanging out before we got that first rejection. So not the, if you are looking to get in and stuff like that here, this would, obviously anything below this mark will be ideal. So like we're right kind of above the ideal breakdown levels here. So I'd say the biggest thing would kind of be to watch BTC to see if you're actually going to build strength at that 25 level. And we should have some trends that kind of mimic that. But overall, we did break that cycle so far. You're able to kind of gain some of that back after grabbing some liquidity. But for Cardano, I would say it's still kind of up in the air because it doesn't seem like it was enough there to maintain these levels, but that's still TBD. Let's take a look here at Ethereum. Ethereum, yeah, mimicking BTC almost like identical. So this but also similar to Cardano, this is actually very good here because this broke this trend here because this was going to potentially send Ethereum down to like 1,300 and worst case down to like 1,000, 1,100. So it was able to get a rejection and grab some liquidity here as well. And now you got a rejection here off of like the 1,780 mark roughly. So not bad, but if you take a look here in the bigger picture, we able to grab some liquidity here and you kind of finish this gap here. And technically, if you mirror this across, you'll see that typically in this range, there's been gaps. So not surprising how easy this was to fill. And same thing with Bitcoin as well. If you look at that last, if you look at the decline down from 30,000, you'll kind of see that mirror image. So it shouldn't be too much of a shocker that it's being filled to the upside. But this does have the momentum and the strength and stuff that we're looking at. So I think the biggest thing is we may actually see a consolidation or a cool off period here. Not to, let's see, what's the bullish aspect? Bullish, especially with this rejection here, because this is that similar slap down that we've seen by BTC. On a really bullish side, we can say maybe like 2K, but overall, I'd say it's unlikely unless we got some I don't know, some incredible news like being a pause or something like that. But I would expect kind of similar to BTC, that sideways or that cool off period. Not saying that we're going to come back down, but when you have like these types of rocket ship launches up, typically you can kind of expect a cool down there. So not too alarming, but overall things have been smoothed out for now. I'll be releasing probably like a long form report on my thoughts on the banking events and stuff within the next day or so. So kind of stay tuned for that. Check out the new anomalous section on Patreon if you want to be a part of that and get access to like our weekly meetings. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and also check out the Anomalous Investor podcast. I just released episode 2, technically yesterday now because it's around 2 a.m. now. So check that out. I met with Brennan and we went over some strategies to help him become a millionaire by 30. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. And I will see you in the next video.
Try.